I mean, Spergoli was like Spurgeon, so I didn't know if that's what you wanted me to talk about. Should we support Zionism? I'm kind of lukewarm on the issue, to be honest. I'm good if you do, I'm good if you don't. Not really a deal breaker. I think the Mossad are some pretty cool people to have on the side.
What is the
Mossad are some pretty cool people. I think the Mossad are some pretty cool people to have on your side.
What is the
On your side. I think the Mossad are some pretty cool people to have on your side. There's some really a deal breaker for me. I think the Mossad are some pretty cool people to have on your side.
What is the Mossad?
The Israeli version of the CIA. That's what it is.
They're kind of like a Swiss Army knife. There's a bunch of different versions of them. Yeah, they have spies like the CIA. They have shop groups, assault groups, type guys. They're pretty cool. And girls. They have girls too.
It's Israel's spy agency. Then you have Shin Bet, which is another agency that's kind of like the FBI. But it's basically the equivalent of the CIA, but they're way, way better than the CIA. Trust me. They make our CIA look like amateurs, especially with the DEI that's infiltrated our CIA the last 5-10 years. Our CIA is a joke. The last 20 years, our CIA is a joke. Seriously. DEI ruined our CIA. DEI ruined our FBI. DEI ruined our military. DEI ruined everything. Think about it. Israel doesn't have the DEI problem we have. You know what I mean? So Sarah, what's your take? Like I said, from a Jewish standpoint, we don't really care whether you support us or not. First of all, America didn't send us arms. We get them from China or Russia or somewhere. You know what I'm saying? In other words, we've been around 4,000 years. We're not going anywhere. So it's just ridiculous to think. And as far as Palestine, let me just make this point. There's no Palestinian people. There never has been. That area was always the land of Israel in the old days. What happened was the Romans in 70 AD came along, kicked out a lot of the Jews right after Jesus and all this shit. They kicked the Jews out of that area and renamed it Palestine after the Philistines, which were an arch enemy of the Jews. In fact, David and Goliath, you know that story? Goliath was a Philistine. The modern Palestinian people are not Philistines. What happened was, basically, the Romans renamed it Palestine, and then you had about 10, 12 different entities between the Romans and present day. You had the Ottoman Empire, the British. Then the British started calling the whole area Palestine again. When in reality, there has never been a Palestinian people. They're basically the people in Palestine and the West Bank. They're really Arabs. They're basically, I'm going to educate you folks. They're Arabs, mostly from Egypt and Jordan. What happened was the British mandate in 1946, 48, whenever it was, basically said, we're going to take this land and split it. We're going to give, at first they were going to give Jordan and the land of Israel all to the Jewish people and call the whole thing Israel. Then the Jews said, well, let's give a hope to these so-called fake Palestinian people, because The only reason they were called Palestinians is because the British continued to call that area Palestine. That's the only reason. So it was named Palestine by colonizers. Originally the Romans, and then the last colonizers were the British. They were colonizing it, so there really no. It's true. When it was called Palestine, the whole area was called Palestine, and you had Jews living there that were considered Palestinians only because the British named it Palestine. It really historically was never called Palestine. So it's kind of a weird thing. So these Palestinian people never really existed. They're just Arabs, basically. There's no Palestinian people. There's never been a look through history. Never been a Palestinian nation ever. The Palestinian, listen, I'll prove it. The word Palestine is not even mentioned in the fucking Quran. I dare anybody. It's not mentioned. The word Palestine is not mentioned in the Old Testament, not mentioned in the New Testament, and it's not even mentioned in the fucking Quran. Why? Because they didn't view it as Palestine. You know what happened was, it only became Palestine when Jews started moving back there. The Arabs said, you know what, we need to create a fake people. Let's call these people Palestinians. These Arabs who are really... So what happened was, and when Israel, when the British mandate came down in 46 to 48, and they split the land, guess where most of these so-called fake Palestinian Arabs went? They're really just Arabs. Let's get down to the brass tacks. They were created as a fake people. They don't have really any history as far as Palestine goes. And basically they moved most of them into Jordan. Jordan was given the home of these people, okay? That's where most of them went. And what happened was, a few of them hung over in the West Bank, and the remaining, here's what happened. Egypt was controlled. Here's my proof. In 48, when the Arabs attacked Israel, it was the Arabs attacking. It was Egypt, Lebanon, Syria, and Jordan. There was no mention of any Palestinians taking. And the Gaza Strip, before Israel took it over, was controlled by Egypt. From 48 until the early 70s. What happened was Israel won the Sinai and the Gaza Strip in the Six-Day War. Listen, they took the Sinai in the Six-Day War. What happened was,
So, dude,
20 years ago, Israel left Gaza. In 20 fucking years, these people had 20 years to get their shit together. They've got 25 miles of pristine Mediterranean coastline, and these sandblacks, as I call them, they had 20 years. They could have built the next fucking Dubai there. But they spent 20 years and all these billions of dollars tunneling underground, building like 300 miles, 300 kilometers of subway, fucking terror tunnels. These fuckers these motherfuckers have better land than fucking Dubai. Don't you people get it?
Oh, wait,
20 fucking years, these sand ninjas couldn't do shit with that fucking
we're for the
land.
ones who pay attention to
Hegemonic sentences through cavalcades of reminiscence. The dark soul mentions crevices of insight, appendages of tripwire reverence. The Gun Hill legend brandish your weapons for Armageddon. Headless corrections for willing participants before the line finishes. I got shadow grimace, the obscene green with chaos for the pilot smoke screen. Combined with the best wishes, master attack, detected full advanced craft methods that were highly adapted to the presence, sharpening psyche, which often might be construed as badly used to beautiful looks and life to mirror the schism unseen hidden. The newest eyes cast shadows into the bluest skies until the Tory be brought to the kings before me as the sacred justice plotted to misinform the whole chorus within construction. Nanonet filaments, hidden secret touch, mystified by the comfortable, united by inner struggle, hidden a bundle of scar, written enigmas. Now the claw is risen, man is up with cheek. With insight, disease, praying to the east, not to the man-made structures, but to the rising of the sun. A comparison of those diligent millipede legs rushing around in any direction. Misperception and prism seem bad design. And that's the vision from the unlikely incision to the makeshift minions of bad decisions. I'm pressing danger to the head skill, get your troops to level. Hidden cages, you can't unstage this, cause I'm live and in the basement with bones hitting all chrome, hitting with chrome. Like a program metal skull covered in the hard routinely cycled by a metronome. Bones are collected to make me feel like the connection is real. Now only steel can sharpen steel.
Yeah, nigga. NY to Philly. What y'all niggas feel like? Drama?
Cool G and Connor.
That's the case, nigga. You know the dawn on with 16 and out the horn for this big crane, the whips and the carriage, blow like the Knicks and the Mavericks, slipping the fabrics, pull up with some bench shit, the tennis shit, hitting the hazards, got a bitch with that Chris habit, gotta have it, fuck shorty, it's in the OT with a brick in the baggage, throw where the club's at, slip with a rabbit, chick only lick dick status to get cabbage, she can lab it to the dick Baptist, who back on the map, G and Connor with a fingers, it's drama to the finish, put the llama to your appendix, it's squeezing the slug, gunpowder season your blood. I'm a legend, breathing the reason you thug, nigga. It's where the buck stops. Fuck rocks, fuck shots to the top. Money, what the fuck you forgot? Thought I was done, wasn't touching the block. Still real, busting the Glock. Put it where you can see it. What up now?
Yeah. Yo, what's the motherfucking guy to this? Y'all believe lies like y'all was Catholics. I rap in Arabic, so my message is just immaculate. My rap elaborate, drink a 40 can blaze a sack to it. My aim is accurate, take your brain and blow out the back of it. I'm salty, miserable cat that slap shorties. Looks kinda resemble that, a fat party. I don't even clap, young boy, clap for me. Chain hang down on my dick, I'm that gaudy. I don't even fuck with you cats, you rap poorly. I don't even fuck with you cats, you that corny. Put a whack on me. We barking at you. If any pass hold a hammer like a carpenter do. You should understand that I ain't really fucking around. And if you don't, you're gonna find your body stuck in the ground. We bucking them down. Cause that's how wrong my life is. Y'all don't understand how fucking strong my wife is. I'm from a time where every song was righteous. Before rap was just a swarm of white kids. And y'all are witness to the dawn of heightness. Or just another victim to the pawns and shysters. I feed your corpse to a swarm of vipers. Let them suck the blood till your form is lifeless. What? Fucking Vinny Paz, daddy. Jedi Matrix. Yeah.
G-Rap, G and Connor.
Yeah, welcome to the Machine Lies, where we talk about the lies of the machine on the machine that lies. And, we're here to talk to you about some very important issues. I am fasting on the maybe 12th hour of a rather daunting fast, but it's not a big deal. We've already reached the 15-day hump in terms of Ramadan, so the fasting is becoming sort of just a natural process at this point. But lots of detoxification going on. Definitely we talked about we had to get shut down the other day for talking a little bit too much about detoxification, chemical processes and all that type of stuff, and it seemed like somebody gave some type of bad medical advice. So we had to bring that video back. But yeah, blessings for you guys. We appreciate you guys being here. We're talking about promise and peril, this double-edged coin, right? And of course there's a lot of double-edged coins as we're around, right? And of course, the double-edged sword comes to mind, right? Because two sides, right? One to save and one to destroy, you know what I mean? And there's also this type of idea of neutrality, right, within technology. Now, neutrality is pretty bad, right? If you create a process, right, for your own success and benefit, you don't want it to be 50-50, you know, good and bad results. I mean, right? That's already too risky of a bet, especially when you're putting all your eggs in one basket, right? As we are with the technological age, right? It seems like we're putting all of our eggs in one basket, right? All solutions in today's world are technological solutions, right? And everything else is propaganda, as written by Jacques Ellul, right? And conformity in our age is nothing more than conformity to the technological system, right? Now, we saw in the previous ages, right, that culture, right, economics, okay, politics, okay, man's religious outlook, okay, scientific understanding, right? All of these things were limiting aspects on the technological capacity of man, right? But now we seem to be in a position where technology is actually guiding economics, culture, politics, and it's the one that's sort of integrating all of these various facets of life. So whereas, you know, it seemed that technology was a culturally relative force in the past, right, it is an objective force of power within the modern age, right? And you know, the idea that we can accelerate culture and dominate the technosphere, right, of accelerationism, right, seems to be pretty much flawed, right? In that, you know, it seems to be the opposite that's true. Technology seems to be guiding the cultural aspect, right? But whether you have these two spheres, now you have these two spheres of chaos and emergence, right, within the scientific ethos, right, that's sort of driving the whole thing, right? Right, the emergence is about how smaller forms of organization can lead to higher orders of complexity, right? So higher orders of complexity emerge from lower levels of organization, right? So this is the idea, okay, of emergence. Now, for the idea to be true, for nature to be totally without teleology and for it to be a totally naturalistic system, right? This idea also has to have in it chaos or randomness, right? Even though such a thing cannot be proven, right? Okay. Now, this naturally leads us to the two sides of the coin, right? Which is accelerationism on the one end, and you know, which is the theory of, you know, higher orders of complexity and emergence, right? Okay, that's borrowed from ideas like Ilya Prigozhin, right? And his ideas of dissipative structures, right? How a change far from equilibrium, right, can lead to sporadic offsetting and lead to a new pattern to emerge, right? Okay. And these type of ideas, right, of chaos math, right, game theory, right, the idea of how complex systems emerge, right? Okay, all these ideas were used, okay, and I'm going off of a theme, right, which is of chaos and emergence, right? These two poles, right? Okay, of the sort of Cthulhu driven like mythos, right? Okay, we have pure naturalism, pure science, right? What's driving it, right? And of course, there's the death urge of humanity caught in the middle of the whole thing, right? Because, you know, a lot of transhumanism is about, right, having the next stage of evolution emerge, right? And now this could be evolution, okay, that uses humanity as a stepping stone, right? Okay, so machines could surpass human evolution, according to some transhumanists, right? Okay, human beings could evolve by combining with machines. That's a second option, right? Okay, or you have the good old fashioned transhumanism with Huxley, right, where you don't have machines in the mix, right? And that's just that human beings accelerate the evolutionary process so that whatever emerges from us is as different than us from the monkey, right? Okay. So all of these concepts within transhumanism, okay, and technological accelerationism, right, seem to be factors guiding the whole thing. Now, what about Discordianism, right? Okay, now just as there's a transhumanist impulse within the accelerationist model, right, there's a techno-Gaian impulse within the Discordian model. Now, Discordianism has its own roots within Romanticism and antinomianism, right? Okay, and the whole concept of, you know, man sort of having a neo-primitive, you know, because of the equality based ethos, right, that man could sort of return to nature, right, through science and technology. So he could merge with nature, right, by merging with technology, because technology is more on the side of nature than it is on the side of man, right? So this is another concept and idea, right? Okay. Now I'm putting together these double level deceptions, right? Chaos and emergence, accelerationism and discordianism, right? Okay. Transhumanism and techno-Gaianism. Okay. And the reason I'm formulating all these new concepts in order to understand the technosphere, right, is because of the emergence of a new type of psychology, right, and a new type of human, right? A new type of human. Exactly, Denise. All shit options. I mean, but yeah, I mean, but yeah, you know, it comes from man being psychologically transformed, right, by the technosphere, right? One is the emergence, right, of our communications technologies. Okay, and the other is, you know, the idea of international trade. Right. So when combined, both of these ideas sort of push a monoculture into play, right? Okay. And this sort of monism, technological monism, right? This is what leads to the system being autonomous, right? Because it's no longer relied on natural organizations, right? That are based on human beings relying on nature, right? No, but this is a evolving system that is using human beings as an energy source, right? All right. So we come to the idea of these two concepts. You know, worldwide communications and international trade, right? Allowing a sort of monoculture, right? And that itself leads to the sort of post-human and post um geological sphere, right? Where because of the because you could sort of create value, right? Okay. Like, for example, people are pretty easily able to generate um real value from generating fake services online, right? Right? Like, what is people buying access to emojis or videos that have little to no information, or pornography, or any of those creations. People are just simply generating value, right? Okay, for things that have nothing to do with human survival, right? So all these artificial needs, right, they pile up, right? Okay, man no longer really relies on um nature, right? Most of the information that's needed for survival is mediated through the screen. So essentially what you have is, okay, you have a bunch of people that are constantly watching the screen for the basis of their own survival, right? So, like, sometimes what's being translated through the machines are actually more important than what your family is saying, at any given time, right? It all depends on what's behind the little red dot notification, right? It could be anybody, right? That's how they trick people, right? So this is the fact, is that you're in a room, right? Sure, you're connected to more people, your voice is being heard more, right? But everybody's talking at the same time. So what you're saying is being heard less, right? Okay. So there's the noise, okay? There's the voyeuristic attitude of most of the people, right? Okay, that are able to pretend that the information being translated through the screen is real, right? Or even based on real things, right? But many times it's not, right? And then there is the escapist attitude of most of the people, right? And that comes from the fact of international trade, the fact that you could go to any other place in the world and access your bank account, right? So where you are doesn't matter, right? Okay. Who you are doesn't matter, right? Because of anonymity. Okay. So this idea of, sort of changeability, right? Lack of identity, right? Indeed, identity theft. I mean, the individual is constantly being power leaked through the system, right? Through completing of surrogate activities for the sake of the system, right? Okay. And you know, by and large, there's no complaint over the collective loss of human dignity, or over the instantiation of collectivism and individualism, right? That is rotten man, right, from the inside out, and really depleted his moral undertakings, right, and sort of transformed him into a vessel of sort of moral paralysis and cultural assimilation, right? And obviously, complexity breeds assimilation, right? Just as simplicity is creativity, Complexity breeds assimilation, folks. All right. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff I want to get into, right? But mainly we're going to get into the Tao, Christ the eternal Tao, and Crowley's translation. Okay. And we're looking at some very rare translations of the Tao Te Ching now. We're kind of ending our study of that work, right? Kind of have a surprise for you guys, right? Okay, in terms of looking at some rare translations of the text. Okay, and coming to some rare conclusions about the text as well, right? So, we've compared it to Confucian philosophy, right? Okay, and we're doing sort of a long series on Buddhism, in which when we combine Taoist and Buddhist principles together and end up with the Zen philosophy, right, we're going to go ahead and come back to our understanding of these various Taoist principles that we mentioned, right? But yeah, welcome to our friend Neurojack, if he's if he's here at the moment. Blessings.
Yes, thank you. That was one of the best intros I think you've ever given, as far as definitely summarizes a lot of my thoughts on what's going on way better than I could put it. And I'm definitely going to clip this up. If I remember, I'm going to make a note to myself now to clip that intro out, because I think that's about as succinct as a way to describe the serious situation that we're in. And I hope people will really try to, put that into some perspective, um, and take some sort of action or non-action about that, what you just said there. I actually took a couple notes, because so much of what you said is kind of like goes into what I've been looking into recently from a different angle. And if you don't mind indulging me, I'm going to read a little, what do you call it? Poetry written by Josh Omi of the Queens of the Stone Age, because I have a feeling I know kind of his angle, and I think, or many of his angles, we'll put it that way, if you catch my drift. Let's see here. If you don't mind, I'll read a little bit of this poem he wrote, or song he wrote. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
It's called Carna Voyeur, or Carna Voyeur. How do you say voyeur? Yeah, Carna Voyeur. So, okay, nothing inside. There's no reason to cry. Just fade away like love. Clutching, hanging by a nail in this life. Desperate always looks that way. Free fall from the nest, then glide to the left. A shine catch the eye, so flow to the right. Flying high, realize there are no more mountains to climb, and there's nothing I can do except enjoy the view. When there's nothing I can do, I smile. Minutes, seconds, so little time. Give your secrets away while whisper in my ear. Every living thing will die, from the king of the jungle to the butterfly. Only sin is waiting too long. When there's nothing I can do, I smile. We live, we die, we fall, we rise. I'm a vulture, so I hear goodbyes. There's no end to life. And I know that sounds kind of like weird and esoteric, but the name of the song kind of puts that together for me. It's, we're kind of like being eaten by our voyeurism to some degree. And you kind of, what you said about human dignity is kind of why I'm reading that, because definitely there's an argument to be made that our whatever you want to define human dignity as is disappearing. And I wanted to ask you really quickly, who came up with becoming? Was that Heraclitus?
Yeah, as the like sort of fact of being. I think that was Heraclitus.
And would you say that's a relatively quote unquote accurate portrayal of what we're going through, or is that just a more of like a framing of it?
Well, I personally don't believe in it.
And, and why? So you're more on the being side. So
Yeah, I'm
there.
more on
So
the being side. Yeah, I'm a
and
hardcore beingist.
right. And why would you say that is? Just out of curiosity, because it's kind of. I think it's one of the most important questions, but I'm just kind of curious. Briefly, not to get. I don't want to detract, but just briefly, what would you say
Well,
the
it kind of
difference is?
goes into this whole idea of mereological nihilism. If you think that things can add up from parts, right, or if they are done top down, right? Now, I think Parmenides is right that from nothing, nothing comes. I mean, but this whole concept that everything is change, and well, if it's all change, they still agree that it's all one, right? So what is it
Right.
changing into? I mean,
Right. I see what you're saying.
so
So basically, it's basically monism, but you're kind of deceivingly calling it something else, essentially. Am I right?
yeah, yeah. The reason why I go with Parmenides is because Heraclitus is obviously like because it's more simplistic, right? It doesn't allow for philosophy and science to take root.
Right.
I mean, and so it's a sort of nefarious sort of cynicism, and I explained earlier that actually Parmenides and Zeno are seen walking out of the school of Athens. I mean, right, in the famous painting, the School of Athens.
It's like a dark
That
logos or something, right?
well, it's like no logos. I mean,
Right.
right, it's like a type where it's just on another side where the logos isn't transcendent, it's just everything, right? So you can't separate it from being itself,
What?
and so you can't do philosophy or science, I mean, because you can't observe change, right? So because Zeno had all these paradoxes that he said that you can't observe change, right? You know, like he said, like an arrow flying through air, right? He said every time you look at it, it's stopped in the air where it is. So an arrow might be moving, but you only observe where it is at any moment that you view it.
Right.
So he's saying that it doesn't move.
It's certainly from God's perspective, nothing moves, right?
Yeah, that's kind of the point. That's ultimately the point. Is that if everything's being observed by one mind,
Right.
then where's the movement?
And I kind of know where I would like to take that, but I'll save it just because that'll be a whole nother can of worms. But I agree. I pretty much agree. I wrote a couple notes. So you said complexity breeds assimilation, and I've been reading something else, and I don't know if it was you or something else. And by the way, your book reflects a lot of what you say. So you definitely put a lot of this in because every time I read your book, I can see the correlation, exactly what you're talking about people muddying the waters about conflating Judeo-Christian into which is basically meaningless, or and purposely kind of obfuscating things. I just want to mention that. So then you have so complexity breeds assimilation. Is there any other way that you would say that complexity does X? Is there another way of putting it, like about deception or deceiving, or how would you characterize complexity other than
Oh
assimilation?
yeah. Oh yeah. I definitely think it's like in framing of means, so it's complexification of means, right? And it's in framing of means, right? So in a way, it's hiding the process it uses to bring you something, just like this computer is doing right now, right? You're not able to see how it's transmitting the voices and the images, or if somebody were to try to explain it, it would be mired in codification, right? And I mean, and symbolic concepts and all this type of stuff. So the whole thing is, you know, the complexification of means, and our assimilation to those processes is that we don't understand, how something is done, but we have to accept what's being done. Right?
Well, definitely in regards to what's happening with technology. That's exactly the conflation that seems to be being made, and you've reflected that in your debates about it and other places as well. So, um, I wrote down first of all, and another thing I wanted to say to Mr. Miner, halal rave sounds dope. I'm definitely down for that. That sounds awesome to me. I've always been a fan of like the music and the vibe of a rave, but I don't like drugs and stuff, so I think that'd be pretty cool. Let's see, romanticism as brutality, and I guess what I mean by that is something to the effect of, uh, well, I used to say that sentiment. So I wrote this a couple of years ago, and it's kind of stuck with me, which is um, sentimentality breeds contempt, and also I can't remember the exact word right now. It'll come back to me later. But sentimentality is basically like abusive to some degree. And so I would say that with romanticism, like there's a fine line between love and hate, if that makes sense. And like I think of myself as a romantic to some degree, but I was just kind of curious about your thoughts about the how do you kind of reconcile romanticism versus something akin to brutality or something like that. Uh,
Like, yeah, to me, it's about, a return to nature, right? So where, the Enlightenment is fleeing from the carnage of nature, right, to like into the bosom of science and technology, right? Um, you know, Romanticism is saying that we're just civilized animals. Right, so it's taking it to the next level, and it's saying, well, we'll never actually escape the artistic and the cultural instinct. That science and technology isn't gonna just sort of create, an amalgamation of those concepts, but we'll still have this brutal instinct, that wants to defend itself. That we'll still have this innate pride, that's based on art and our sexual passions, and it's because of this neo-primitivism concept, because in the 1800s you have concepts like Marxism, you have William James and psychology, the applying of science to you know human techniques, essentially in terms of psychology, and you have Darwinism. So you have this idea that everyone's just like came from a monkey. I mean, right? So in terms of Blavatsky and Darwin and all these people, they sort of take a sort of neo-primitivist approach, where they're thinking of man sort of returning to nature. So they're using a return to nature to sort of bash the ideas of science and the Enlightenment, right? So romanticism is this sort of reclaiming of humanism in light of Enlightenment principles that sort of escaped, you know, human justification for them, where it's just kind of going into this weird impulse, so the romanticism, where it's like William Blake and the French Enlightenment and all these people, they're like, no, we need to go back to like, the terror and brutality of the human instinct, right?
yeah, like
Nature.
Robespierre and all those kind of guys, and
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
yep. Yeah, but you like Rousseau. So what would be the distinction between that and Rousseau? You think?
Well, I mean, Rousseau's to blame, partly. For sure. You know, his ideas were essential. But in terms
Yeah,
of his critique of science and the arts, he was absolutely correct. I mean,
right. And so basically, what you're saying is that was kind of like the what would you call it? Would you say that's kind of like the birth of modern evolutionary psychology and Darwinism and all this kind of?
well, I think Hobbes is like Darwin. Hobbes is like proto-Darwinian. You know, because he's describing human beings as animals and all this type of stuff, and he's sort of taking a materialistic approach and a naturalistic approach to looking at a human being. In the Leviathan, right? He sort of has a scientific understanding of what a human is, right? And he sort of describes them in like mechanistic, like Newtonian sort of terms, right? And then and he describes animals in the same way, And then if you go to, um, Rousseau had this idea of anthropology where he thought that man developed in relation to his environment. So different political forms developed because man was like in the desert or in the tropical environment, or because humans lived on an island, or so he thought the environment had a lot to do with how human beings set up their civilization. So he argued that nature had influence on how human beings developed their societies. And so he sort of thought that you could never sort of get beyond nature, right?
And what you're saying is we have, and it's a problem because people don't want to be honest about that.
Well, I mean, his solutions, but well, I mean, he was in the 1700s, so he didn't really foresee the Industrial Revolution and all these types of things, right?
Right. Right. But I'm just saying, like, his takes aren't uh, correct just because, like you said, he just could. I mean, not that they're wrong, but just saying, like you said, he couldn't see that we're basically going to end up in the situation that we're in now, where you know technology, and some people will say, well, we're part of nature, therefore technology is part of nature, which that's a whole other argument, I guess. But I'm just giving the caveat before somebody tries to throw that in. But that aside, we're in a situation where now technology is essentially subsumed nature as the greatest. And I think that you and Andrew Wilson kind of like danced around that issue, or he danced around that issue in your debate, definitely, because it seems like one of the major issues, you know. Um, but yeah, so basically, what I would say is, and I also think it's kind of interesting, like the term Roman romanticism. Do you think there's any kind of hidden double meaning to that as far as
Yeah, I think it's connected. Romanticism. I mean, the Roman de la Rose. I mean, which was a famous poem, sort of a paganistic poem. You know, that was sort of medieval in its origins. I mean, but yeah.
so they're not talking about Christian Rome, they're more talking about well, perhaps a small hatted Rome or some other type of Rome that existed before Christian Rome, I'm assuming, is what it's alluding to. I don't know
Yeah, I
if you know
mean,
the answer. I'm just making some speculation.
yeah, I think it was like akin to saying like of the old age or something like that. I mean, back in the day, so it's like romantic. I mean, so Rome. I mean, right, romance. I mean,
Well, and I just say that I don't want to get too off on the deep end, like start doing some wordplay or something. But I think there's something to that. But definitely, I would say that like you said, it's just bringing up the idea that brutality is justified because, essentially that's what nature is. And again, I think that's kind of the weird part of the situation we're in now with the technology to some degree, because it seems that they're making some sort of argument that, well, you know, uh, well, nature's brutal, and now that we've subsumed, now we've moved past nature, why should we expect that technology is going to be any less brutal? Although they don't say that, of course, they say that technology is going to soften the blow to some degree. They certainly don't seem to be acting as if that's always going to be the case, as much as they try to sell it. But that's another side issue. Happy Ramadan again to you, by the way, because that's a very tough thing. I'm over here eating in front of you. I apologize.
No, it's all good. Blessings. Yeah, it's only a little bit of time left. I'm excited to have a meal today for sure. But that's the thing. It's like you don't really get excited to have a meal unless you fast. You don't get excited to sleep until you stay up all night. These are these are the quixotic, factors. That lead to our complex lives. Right. But the thing is that, this whole thing about voyeurism and escapism, it sort of goes to the fact that, you know, you know that you're seeing stuff and sort of everybody's trapped in a sort of idealism, and that means that you know that it's all based on what you can project, and you could tell that people now are sort of real life actors, so the sort of voyeuristic impulse, and it goes to the idea that that you could actually, the eye has no conscience, and just by seeing things, that something can invade your conscience, by you seeing things, you looking at things that you know you desire, right? But you can't have that aren't even real. So guarding your eyes and saving them from this sort of voyeuristic impulse, where we're sort of taught that seeing is believing, and this is the sort of thing that we're transformed from kids from the fucking Disney movies. So this is the problem: is that you know this voyeuristic impulse, it's actually coming from the screens, and it's about being mediated by what we see, right? And the eyes, you know as I said, they're the windows to the soul, and you can have things pervade the conscience, right, that sort of steal away your imagination, right? And that's a lot of what this stuff is that you know seeing how things are like seeing what's being done without knowing how it's being done, you know it causes you to trust what you see more, or just trust the process, and that itself is a problem. Now to the escapism, it's more about how you can go anywhere you want. You can go to another city, another town, assume a new identity, have a new social media profile. So this is the whole idea of escapism, that you can get in your car and you could just simply just go away. That everybody's simply participating in everything, and nobody has to be anywhere, right? But what does seeing actually get you? What does voyeurism actually achieve? Seeing is not doing. And it transforms the way you do things. The more you just passively intake information without questioning what it is. 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 right? Without critically questioning what you're looking at. And right, in terms of the escapist thing, I mean, it transforms your sense of morality if you're not really tied to any place. You know, you don't really have to be anywhere. Now, obviously, the Tao, you know, it's fascinated by stillness. It rules through stillness. You know, by taking deep roots, firm roots, right? You know, in the Tao, you're not supposed to just watch things, right? You know, watching is like forbidden. You know, it's more about softening the glare. You know, doing things, doing non-doing, right? Working through stillness, working with what is not there, right? So we're going to expand on all these concepts here, you know, because we're opening up 2 new translations of the Tao Te Ching. I'm very happy to do so with you guys. I mean, we're going to have you know, some music and some discussions. But yeah, let me drop this link here again. I don't think I pinned it. And we'll get to some of the translations, one by Eugene Rose and the other by Aleister Crowley.
I just want to mention a couple
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
a
Yeah.
couple things just before we move on.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Take your time.
Yeah, no, because I think what you said actually answered some of what I was thinking, anyways, or reminded me of something I was thinking. So, because I'm just trying to contextualize this for myself, but hopefully this will help the audience. So like you said, you have like promise and peril, and you have all these other dichotomies or whatever you want to call it, right? And so you have like, for lack of a better term, Hegelian dialectical whatever, right? And I think you and I talked about maybe the originator of that was, Plato or Aristotle or one of these people. I can't remember. One of the people way back when. And do you remember who that might be? Just by if you don't, it's not a big deal. I was just curious if you remember who you might.
Well, I've been saying Solomon recently because of the baby, cut the baby in half. So
Right. Exactly. Gotcha. Yep.
yeah, so you force a fake problem to get a solution. I mean,
Right. Trolley. He's the origination of trolley.
the trolley from Solomon. Yeah, yeah. If you guys don't know what we're referring to, you know, there's 2 women. They were arguing over a baby. Solomon said, "Cut the baby in half." One of the women said, "Okay, fine, let's do it." The other one said, "Okay, no, let her have the baby." Solomon gave the baby to the one who said, "Let her have the baby," because he said that the one who would rather have the child live than to prove a point is obviously the one whose baby it is. So this is the story, if you guys want to know. But yeah, it's a sort of a controlled dialectic that Solomon created to solve a problem.
No, it's funny, and I just want to mention also, it's funny because I watched that Mr. Beast show where he's like giving away $10 million or whatever, and one of the finale parts is about the trolley question and all these people turning on each other and arguing. But I'm pretty sure it was not. It was a reality TV show where it was kind of scripted because you can tell there's like very heavy, I would say propaganda throughout the show, which is not surprising. But I'm just saying, like, it's pretty sophisticated programming, I would say.
Yeah, definitely.
Which again is not. I'm sure that's not. Sorry, I had to do something for a second. But I'm sure that's not surprising. But I guess what I'm trying to get at is so you have this Hegelian dialectic. So you have a third way, and would you say that that's not a real thing per se? I mean, like, obviously we're talking about Hegel and evolutionary Darwinism, Hobbes. Would you say that's a false thing in that way, but there is a real third positionist or Tao per se? Is that, I mean, it doesn't have to be your own position, but I guess since we're about to talk about the Tao, I thought that was kind of like an interesting
Oh yeah,
segue.
yeah. That's kind of what me and Lilith were talking about earlier. Dialectical monism. You know, where instead of 2 things colliding and creating a new outcome, they sort of just merge into one. You know, and that's an old way of doing business in Hinduism and different things where they would actually say, well, the two sides are actually just the same side.
You're right. Well, it's kind of like the whole thing that me and Peeler talk about Eurasian futurism and Eurasianism and all this. It's kind of like, from my perspective, it's about finding people of like values, and you just kind of merge, but you're already on the same side. It's just about discovering that you're on the same side, essentially, right? And I think that that's kind of what, globo. I don't know. Can we say global homo? I don't know.
Or even if you're equally opposed on the same points, then just by elucidating the differences, you could agree to disagree, right? But if
Right.
you keep speaking past each other, you don't understand the other guy's position, then you'll continuously create it as a hobgoblin in your mind, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going one other place with this just really briefly because I was triggered as I'm sure you've heard of NVIDIA, right? So NVIDIA did their little presentation, I guess you'd say. And that guy, the leader of that company, CEO of that company, is a very interesting person. And I don't say that in a good way per se, but he's definitely he's a strange person to listen to because they're selling it. I said this to Pillier earlier today too. It's like, so you're listening to this guy talk about NVIDIA, and I'll just give you a very small example of what he was saying, because I think this does go back to what you're saying here. So he said that, as an example, okay, so to put up the infrastructure for AI to proliferate, we need AI manufacturing plants, I guess you'd say. So I guess that's what they're calling these quote unquote data centers that they're building. They're basically saying, well, these are going to be AI manufacturing plants. And he said, we predict that there'll be between 8 and 10 billion AI agents in the world in the relatively near future. I'm guessing within 10 to 15 years. It could be much less than that if what they're saying about the computing power is correct and the infrastructure is built according to what he's saying. But now I don't want to get too technical like he was doing, because he obviously was doing that to make people not ask questions. Complexity, assimilation, you get it. So, but essentially he said a couple things that just kind of stood out to me. First of all, he said, he's like, so we need all these transceivers as an example, right? He said these things cost $6,000, and he's like, and we need about a million of them. So that's $6 trillion or whatever 6,000 times a million is. I think that's 6 trillion, right? Or yeah, something like that. So it's a lot of money, right? And I said to Pillager, I was like, so they're not meeting a market demand. Like, is anybody here in this audience here just sitting here thinking, what I really need is I can already talk to somebody, with like a tenth of a second delay anywhere in the world right now. Like, what I really need is like zero latency on a phone call to India or China or whatever, right? Or whatever, right? Like what exactly are they trying to build? Are they going to build like a transporter system here? Are we going to be like living in Star Trek? Like, where's the market demand for a million transceivers to make the internet zero latency anywhere in the world, essentially, right? I mean, I just don't think that there's no one demanding this, right? So my point is they're kind of putting on a show like this is a free market capitalism endeavor, and I think very soon we're going to see that it's extremely obvious that's not the case. And I guess the point is, as this stuff gets put into place, and you said something about this recently, and I wish I could remember exactly what you said, but I'll put it in a question form since that's what I'm known for. Let me ask you 3 questions. What did the monoculture do to you, machine? And what did international trade do to you? And what did technology do to you? Because that kind of gives it personhood, right? So if I ask the question in that way, I'm kind of giving it agency, right? So I guess what I'm saying is that seems to be kind of what they're doing. They're gonna, I can, and I know that we said this before, but everything I see about the technology is they're trying to give it ubermensch status, right? They're trying to say, well, this thing's better than us. I mean, that dude Peter Diamond is, and I would love to review that with you. That's kind of why I kept bothering you the past couple of days. Like, I want to do a show with you because what these people who are, obviously salespeople trying to sell this to us, they're very heavily suggesting, like, this guy said UAE promises to be the first AI controlled government in the world, saying that AI is going to literally make the decisions for the people. Now, I can't understand why would a sovereign king of a country that's supposedly a Muslim or whatever, why would he say, you know what, I'm just going to give up my sovereign right as a king and hand that right over to the AI? So I'm just saying, like, I don't know exactly what they're trying to do, but definitely I see that the personhood or above human status of AI is definitely one of the primary things. And I think, to me, that kind of leads me to believe that, you know, like that movie you sent to me. What was that movie? The Fantastic Planet or something like that?
Right.
Like, that's that's pretty much what they have planned for us, where we're just kind of like a afterthought. And I know that that's obvious to some people when you listen to these people, but I think they're actually either A, they actually believe it, B, these people aren't people, David Icke, or C, um, we have almost. I mean, they're at least wanting to present that we have zero control of where this is headed, And so I don't know which one it is, but I just wanted to say that out loud because the way these people are talking is. Even for me, as somebody who's looked at this for 20 years, it's shocking that they're so blatantly saying what they're saying. Like, I kind of can't believe that they're saying it the way they're saying it. And I apologize for going too long, but I just
Yeah.
want to say that.
No, but that's true. It's funny how people, how honest, people that want to perpetuate the system are making, their plans in the near future, and how numb the average person is to what they're saying. I mean, both things are actually stupefying. I mean, I've actually quoted you here that, that you said, it's going to be impossible to educate the normie and to motivate the truther. And so I think both of those are actually very true, right? So we're in a
Well,
precarious situation.
yeah, and it's funny. Like, on that note, I had this concept that I'm trying to figure out, and it sounds too similar to other people, so I don't know I don't know what the bumper sticker version is going to be yet, but I appreciate what you said there. And this is kind of like what I was thinking earlier. Is like it's like Marie Antoinette, let them eat cake, but instead it's like let them eat autism. And what I mean by that is, like, when you watch this guy, the Nvidia guy, talking, right, and he's talking about all these teraflops and flop flops and all this bullshit he's talking about, right? Does the average person give a shit? Even the person working there, they don't care, right? What is this actionably going to mean for me, right? Even the people invested in this business, they don't care, right? All they care is, like, is this going to make money, right? And it's basically just giving you autistic facts and things to look at, and things to blame as well, right? And that's why I see that question: what did monoculture, international trade, and technology do to you? Because then you can just blame the it that you have no control over, right? And I think that's kind of goes back to the whole voyeurism thing or whatever, right? It's like, point the finger, and even the Jays and all these other things have become this for people, right? Like you said, can you repeat that thing about what you said about normies and truthers one more time? That was very much on line with what I'm talking about here? Can you repeat
Yeah,
it?
you said it. You said it. I'm quoting you.
Oh, what,
Um,
what did I say?
yeah, you said you said it's going to be impossible to educate the normie and to motivate the truther. All right. So
I'm writing that down. Sorry. That's good.
write down your own thing.
Motivate the truther. Yeah, I like
Yeah,
that.
I
That's
should.
great.
Yeah, I should reply from the DM you sent me where you said that, so
That's
he
funny.
can know that you said it because
Yeah,
it
I
was like
forgot.
only like 2 weeks ago or some shit.
Well,
So,
I definitely write better than I speak,
well,
for
that's the
sure.
thing is that with Neurojack, with Brown's Boy, with Rant, all these guys. I talk about the things we talk about on this show off the show for like sometimes they'll go on for an hour. I'll just listen to them talk about what we talk about on the show. I mean, so yeah, I'm blessed to have you guys, right?
Yeah, and sorry to detract, but definitely jump into the Dow because I mean, I don't know. I was looking into some other stuff too, and it's just weird how like all of it kind of comes back to the same place, and it's just like we're definitely being put through a funnel right now.
Yeah, I don't know if we can play Frontline. I'm pretty sure we'll get popped for that. But they did a show 2 days ago on AI, the most retarded show ever, where they literally were coping with the fact that AI was just making up information. And they said that you can't ask it for quote unquote dangerous information. So it's already going to be censored, what type of information you can ask from this thing, heavily, and then it, it gives them a fun fact in replacement of trying to ask how to make a deadly weapon, right? And the fun fact is that there's that a certain percentage of ice in the Arctic is penguin urine. And then they did a search, and a cursory search revealed that penguins don't even piss. So the thing just makes shit up at a staggering rate. Language models. Right? So, it could just create information out of thin air.
Well, and again, I highly encourage people go read Neuromancer, and other things like that. I mean, Neuromancer could have been infinitely, expanded upon, honestly. But the concept is still the same. Whereas, what are you going to do when the like one of my favorite parts of his series on that, and I'll just mention this because I think this is the real dangers that I think people don't think about, alarmist or whatever. I'm just saying, like, think of it this way, like, you know, imagine you build a security system that's meant to protect, all the major infrastructure of these tech companies, right? From scams or other AI systems or whatever, right? And this thing starts getting a personality, and it's like, I don't want to be with this other program that you've put me with. And again, it's kind of what the Matrix is about to some degree, with like Smith and stuff like this, right? Like, what are you going to do when it gets its mind of its own? It's like, you're kind of forcing me into this whatever, and whether it's really a personality or an inferred personality or whatever, um, if it starts behaving as if it's alive when it's not, it's still a danger, right? And I think that that's kind of inevitably where this is going to end up for sure. I mean, if anything about the way the technology works is correct, I mean, it could lie, cheat, steal, kill, just like a human could, but with infinitely more ability. I mean, they're literally talking to guys a few days ago. The same guy I was talking about, Peter Diamandis. People should go look him up. Very strange fellow. And and I'll mention one other thing too. But they're literally talking about putting humanoid robots in basically every household in the in the world, but especially in the West, within 20 years or less, probably 10, right? So now you're going to have a little gatekeeping robot to come and quote unquote help you around the house, connected to AI and all this stuff. So again, I'm not trying to be like scary or whatever, but it's like, where's the market demand for this, right? And why do we need so much immigration and migration if we're, about to have all these little robot things walking around helping us, right? Like, doesn't really make any sense. And another thing that kind of stood out to me is this NVIDIA guy was naming his, you know, whatever these things are, chips or transceivers or whatever they're called, after Rubin, who quote unquote discovered quote unquote dark matter, and he's like, oh, we're going to name the next iteration of this Feynman. And I was like, why are they keep overlapping tech and space, and this Peter Diamandis guy does too, and so does Elon Musk and all these guys. And you know, I'm not going to say Kabbalah enter the chat, but you know, maybe Kabbalah enter the chat here. I don't know. Like, so I'm not saying that you know, you can answer that, but definitely it's pretty weird that they're doing a heavy overlap of space and tech, and I'm not sure exactly what's supposed to be inferred from that. Like, I don't think that some technology company is naming that just out of like respect for, you know, oh, we're all just like love space stuff or whatever. Like, I think that it's alluding to something else that I'm not sure. I mean, so I don't know where to go with that. I just want to mention that if anybody out there has any thoughts on that, I think it's something worth exploring a little bit. But
Yeah, that certainly is very fascinating. Connection there that needs to be explored more. Plasma Void, blessings to you, sir. Thank you for watching all the time. I mean, I've definitely seen you, and I greatly appreciate you. Yeah, that's right, Godheart Guardian. You know, blessings to you. That's right. You know, people got to start feeling the pressure here. And we got Hanko Flamio. Blessings, brother. It is either your progeny or your clone. Dun, dun, dun.
well,
All
that's
right.
what the NVIDIA guy was saying today too. He's like, we're going to create a digital twin of all these things first, map out everything first, and so before we put the shovel in the ground, we're going to know exactly what cyberspace and real space is going to look like. So that's exactly what he's saying. So I don't know.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, I guess we had a great discussion here. Before I move into the DAO, I'll play some music for you guys. And yeah, we got some DAO and some other discussion for you guys. Hopefully I'll bring you some thoughts on the technological singularity. I think we're at a certain section here in the book we're reading. Actually, oh, whoops. It's on the ground here. Give me a second. Yeah, I don't know where we're at in Bill Joy. I'll figure it out as we take our little musical break. But yeah, we're reading Why the Future Doesn't Need Us and going through some of his ideas there. He's advocating, you know, getting rid of some of the technology, which is interesting. But yeah, blessings. Yeah, thank you, Zephyr. Yeah, I appreciate you. You know, but yeah, let me open this up for you guys. Yeah, I really appreciate you guys. Yeah, I was kind of thinking the intro. I've definitely explained those concepts in the past extensively. So it's something I'm going into here, you know. Yeah, thank you, Neuro, for joining. Blessings. And yeah, we'll be dropping the link here. You know, feel free to join and ask any questions that you guys might have. Join the discussion. Talk about the Tao Te Ching, right? It's all up to you. Blessings, friends.
War with us, man. Come on, man. Y'all niggas can't be serious about that shit. Knock this shit, carnival, Knievel. evil. Flip money, DMX bikes, don't slide. Moving in the air, you dummy. Your dumps get lumped like bumps. Pop crews like the youngsters who back out rapping. Fans deader than the monsters. It's a shame how your brain get picked to be amongst the best. Copping trees to put a hole in your chest. I'm a slave to the way you get stuck on a vortex. Catch wreck like rotten.com and intellectual fish. Looking to get wet, I bet you ruthless. Catch you falling, you break like the car don't start. Niggas stalling. I'm brawling like that fight night. I'm 21, a champion in my prime like Mike. Fuck up everything in sight. Y'all fight like Mike in his old days. You so afraid, go run away. This nigga don't play. My hip hop rap with a dog rap. Change rattle at the thought of a battle. For the art on the sport, y'all niggas run herd like a cattle. It's full court music. Confuse the second rate drunks, pimps, and the niggas who be users. Rappers get caught with they shit all day. You acting hard, come on, that be off your hand. I bust head and friend like, yo, who gives a fuck if he rapping? We all call to the battle to see what's rappers get caught with they shit all day. You acting hard, come on, that be off your hand. I bust head and friend like, yo, who gives a fuck if he rapping? We all come to the battle to really see what's happening.
Rap River Phoenix, seen and really need it. Every night could be another Viper room repeated. People dreamed of seen it, feel it, I'm thinking maybe this is the real world and everybody else is crazy. Couldn't have had the baby, love it and keep the habit. $50 back alley, I said snatch it. Out of the womb, pursue
the environment. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of things that. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of things that. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of things that. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of things that.
You guys see him pull his gun out right now on me?
Boss lady friend like, yo, who give a fuck if he rapping? We all come to the battle to really see what's happening.
Rap River Phoenix, seen and really need it. Every night could be another Viper room repeated. People dreamed of seen it, feel it, I'm thinking maybe this is the real world and everybody else is crazy. Couldn't have had the baby, love it and keep the habit. $50 back alley, I said snatch it. Out of the womb, pursuing my doom is looming. I'm moving and join the movement by usually doing everything I probably shouldn't. Robbery couldn't get him any richer than this. I'm part of a movement, gold mine, rhyme, musically sick. Doing the shit, anything to prove to you how rude I could spit. Live and die for the same hobby. My spirit and body deciding that odds and ain't probably godly enough. Abuse this temple, no all of his followers fucked. Swallowing pure nothing, for sure something can happen. Putting on rapping, double or nothing.
Rappers get caught with they shit all day. You acting hard, come on, that be off your hand. I bust head and friend like, yo, who gives a fuck if he rapping? We all call to the battle to see what's rappers get caught with they shit all day. You acting hard, come on, that be off your hand. I bust head and friend like, yo, who gives a fuck if he rapping? We all come to the battle to really see what's happening.
the dark forces, which were once stopped by the front door, have found their way into the home through personal computers.
Yeah, blessings. Thank you for joining us. We're going to get into some Taoism here, but from a sort of a different perspective. We've looked at some scholarly translations of the text, right? From various different types, right? Poets, scholars, okay, you know, people who are from all different types of understandings and backgrounds, right? Obviously, right? And we've looked at four major translations, right? Okay. And I've been careful to point out which ones those were. And now we're going to be looking at some very critical translations, right? Blessings, Mimsy, the OG. And yeah, we're going to be going over here and opening up Crowley's translation. A little bit of a different twist here. Okay. Looking at what he's got to say. All right. Now we're opening up chapter 1 here, and he's got all sorts of interesting diagrams here, right? Combinations of masculine and feminine energies, right, that sort of lead to these various characteristics that are mentioned in the Tao Te Ching, right? So in the first chapter, right, he says the Tao path is not the all Tao, right? Okay. So in another translation, we're talking about named and unnamed, right? And I just noticed it's very, very tiny on the screen. Give me a second. Let me sort of zoom in. Let me sort of zoom into this. See if I can sort of zoom into this. All right, there we go. I wonder if we could just get rid of this giant magnifying glass thing. Oh well. I mean, but yeah, the nature of the Tao, right? The Tao path is not the all Tao, right? So once the Tao gets separated into paths, right? That's sort of all roads lead to the Tao sort of thing, right? So, like what matters is the journey and not the destination, right? Now, the all Tao is not the destination. It's just the way that all ways manifest, right? So that is sort of the critical nature, right? So I kind of get what, okay, Crowley the Beast is sort of up to here, right? Now he says the name is not the thing named, right? Okay. Now that is one of the main ideas, right? That creation begins with names, right? So the unmanifested has to be beyond names because it's beyond categories and beyond separation from any other thing, right? So once you have a path and you have a way to go down the path, right? It's only then that you're somewhere, right? Right? Because everything happens in something or on something. So if there's no road, there's no way, essentially. I mean, and and in that, the all ways become hidden in the one, right? Okay, because there's possibilities of carving out a path, right? But there is no way, right? Now he goes down. Now I don't know how I think I messed up his diagrams by sort of squishing the page together, right? Let's forget about the diagrams right now, right? But yeah, I don't think he draws them out again, but he says manifested, it is their mother, right? So unmanifested, right, is the father, manifested is the mother, right? Right? The mother is the vessel of the 10,000 things, right? To understand this mystery, one must be fulfilling one's will. Do as thou wilt. He's plugged that into the intro of the Tao, right? Very odd, right? Okay. And if one is not thus free, one will but gain a smattering of it, right? Now, he's going with the idea of having desires and having no desires, and he's transforming it into mastering one's will. Is that appropriate, right? Okay. Interesting, right? Okay, maybe we will have his little diagrams here, right? But he says here, he says the Tao is one, okay? And the Ta, right? Or the way, right? Right? Okay, the way of what? The way of virtue, right? But a phase thereof. The abyss of this mystery is a portal of serpent wonder. I don't know what serpent wonder means, but I mean, if we had Lilith here, he could probably break it down. I don't know, but yeah, here's his little diagrams, right? So he's got the mother, right, with 8 characters, right, with a space in between. Right, and the father with 10 characters. Okay, and then all of these ways are combinations of the mother and the fatherly forms, right? So those little diagrams, you guys could look it up on your own, right? Terra Beast, right? I'll put it in the chat here. You guys could look it up. It's Crowley's translation of the Tao Te Ching, right? It's available online, right? Here's the link. All right. So you guys could make of these diagrams whatever you will. I will not attempt to decipher them. I only noticed that in the beginning he combined the mother and the father, and then he combined various elemental forms into combinations of the mother and the father, right? Okay. So that is what I'm noticing, right? Okay. We're now on chapter 2. Let me move to Seraphim Rose and his translation, right? With Christ the Eternal Tao. And look at a different translation, chapter 1, right? And let me actually zoom into this. So this is from Seraphim Rose, right? Christ the Eternal Tao, right? Chapter 1, right? And he translates chapter 1 like this, right? He says, before light was made, there was primal light that was not made, the uncreated, right? Light. The primal essence, right? Dwelling in the darkness of incomprehensibility. Okay, because it can't be named. It's without name. It's primordial. It's one. It's the uncarved block. It's natural simplicity, right? Okay. It's the father of heaven and earth, right? Okay. Primordial chaos without separation. Okay. It says, of this, the ancient prophet spoke, saying, he made darkness his secret place. the formless and immaterial place of knowledge, whither our understanding or concepts gain no admittance, right? So before there is knowing, there's only the sort of celestial cloak of knowledge itself, right? Hidden in the unseen, right? Right. So, in other words, knowledge has to come from somewhere, right? From the depth of knowing itself, right? But where everything is known, right? There it's formless, immaterial place, right? As he says. So, yeah, lots of translations there for Hank, right? I mean, you know, that's the Crowley one. This is the Seraphim Rose one. Let me link this for you guys. Okay, we're moving through chapter 1, right? I don't know if we'll be able to get to chapter 2, right? But yeah, we've had a good show so far. I usually only go 2 hours, right? I guess I'll go a little longer, right? Because I still have yet to look at Bill Joy, and I want to get to that too, right? So, feel free to join if you guys want, right? We'll be here for a little while. Just a little more while, right? Maybe hours or something like that. Okay. Blessings. Okay, but I greatly appreciate you guys' participation. Right, we've covered a range of topics today. Especially, I appreciate Neurojack being here. He's a recurring character on the streams and one of the, great motivators. You mean, starting this live stream in the first place. I mean, so yeah, you mean, I would consider him a founding member of the live stream aspect of this channel. I mean, But yeah, there's not too many hands on deck here, right? It's really just like 2 or 3 people so far, right? But yeah, blessings. But yeah, it says before light was made. Oh wait, I already read all this. Let me go down. Yeah, let me go down here. So he said, and the ancient sage spoke too of this, calling it the darkness within darkness, the gate to all mystery. Okay. So I think now he's referring to Lao Tzu, right? Okay. So he's comparing, the biblical terminology, right, to Lao Tzu's own understanding of things, right? Okay. So he's saying there's almost a 1-to-1 relationship right there. Okay. And of course, Seraphim Rose was influenced, right, by Watts and Uspensky and, Gurdjieff. He's part of a long tradition, right, going back to actually a sort of mystical ideal, right, of Gurdjieff, right? But he sort of renounced all of that and joined the Orthodox Church, right? But nevertheless, he found great wisdom and understanding in these ancient texts, right? So it's fascinating. And he says there's no name whereby the primal essence can be named, neither in this age nor in the age to come. Right? So, yeah, the nameless is the beginning of heaven and earth, right? We call him essence, right? Essence without form, right? Is what Shang Tzu says, right? As we're going to read in the Shang Tzu, right? For he is the sea of essence, indeterminate and without bounds. Okay, so infinite and one, right? Spreading far and wide beyond all notion of time or nature, right? Right, time or nature are about separateness and about names, right? Right, so it's something that's without parts, without movement, right? The primordial essence that's within stillness, right? We got the homie. Blessings.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yo, yo, yo.
Yeah, this is cool because we were kind of talking about how some of the things in the Tao have obviously a smattering of sort of Christian values, right?
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I'm looking into it.
Yeah. So this is one of the good texts to go to. Is this Christ the Eternal Tao? You know, he sort of wrote his sort of explanation or spiel about how it could be, and he was actually a student of Alan Watts. You know, so it gets pretty interesting.
Alan Watts says they just made it all up.
Right. Right. That's definitely not what this guy believes, though. He kind of renounced the guy's teachings, a lot of his teachings. But yeah.
It's just wild.
Yeah, it is wild. But yeah, we definitely have yeah, he's definitely explaining it, and yeah, he's explaining it in the term of essence, right? Because if it's primordial essence, it can't be with form, and what he's trying to describe is it's infinite, it's beyond time or nature. So time is basically based on movement, nature is basically based on space. So these intuitive principles that are based on how we perceive things. So it's before the idea of perception. It's just stillness, essence. So yeah, and oneness. So he's saying that that's what exists in the beginning. He said he is holy essence, solely essence. He is above yet he is above essence. Okay, now he really hit with an incredible statement there, right? So I mean, so if the essence says no form, then God is even above that, or the oneness or the Tao, or however you want to phrase it. You know what I mean? And for all intents and forms, if you go to Crowley, that's the universe, right? And if you go to the you know, to somebody who believes in God, then that's God right there, right? So what's interesting is that no matter what level you're on, if you're on the level of the universe, it's still going to be the level of oneness and in the Tao and the level of primordial essence without form. All things operate that way. I mean, even on the level of the natural, right? But that's the thing is that you know
It's bugged out, bro. I'm trying to figure out what version I have right now.
yeah, that website is a good resource.
The DAO that I have, I don't know how I got it. I had it in my library and just pulled it out one day, and it was just a text file that just had the raw DAO. So I got to figure out what version it is. Like chapter 1's way different. It sounds totally different. I don't know. It doesn't have this in there. Is this chapter 1?
Yeah.
What's above this?
What do you mean?
Like what's at the beginning of the chapter?
Well, he's sort of breaking shit down. Saying before the light was made, primal light, and then he's sort of going from the Christian understanding to the Tao, this verses, and he's breaking it down one verse at a time.
But like,
You
yo,
know?
the beginning of this one just says the Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The
Right.
name that can be named is not the eternal name.
Right. So I was explaining that. See, he's saying like, you know, that, you know, it's without knowledge, you know, it's without identity, it's a gate to mystery. You know what I mean? You know, so he's saying that because it's indeterminate, it's without bounds, it's without notion of time or nature, it can't be separated and it can't be named. You know, so he's just going into very deep understanding of that concept. You know?
Oh, I'm just saying that I found a lot of connections between like what the Tao Te Ching is and the way that Jesus Christ lived. But I didn't make any connections with a Jesus version of the Tao. You know what I mean? It's I think it's an actual like one of the original translations into English. I gotta find out who did it. Hold on a second.
Yeah, let's get this guy with fucking fetal alcohol syndrome out of here. Old Josephine. You fucking crackhead. I mean, have a nice day. I mean, yeah, I mentioned like 20 intelligent concepts. You know, before you start eating breakfast. Right? Give me a fucking break.
So
You're a pawn in the game, right? Um, it says he is holy essence. He is above essence. I thought that was a rather interesting phrase, right? It's like, you know, the formless essence of all being, right? God is basically creating that as well, right? You know, either that or it's a part of him, right? Because he is not of the essence of anything that is. All right, how about that? Okay, we call him being. For before all else was, he is. Yet he is above being, above all existent things, even above existence itself. We call him the one. For he alone is wholly simple and without parts. Now that is the key thing, is that it's without parts, right? So that goes more to a idea, a basic idea of oneness, right? Non-composite, right? And that goes to the concept of rejecting the sort of mereological nihilism or atomism approach, right? That everything can be separated into little insignificant do dillies and hence dismissed. That everything's built up from smaller parts. No, it's the one essence, formless being, right? And you could quickly understand that the Tao is very much in tune with that, right? It's not about separation and movement and change and becoming, right? But yeah, it's really about being. It's really about, intelligence, right? That doesn't really have direction or form, right? And everything it creates is sort of complete unto itself. Is imbued with the living spirit. So let's go a step further here. Right? It says, yet he transcends the antinomy of the one and the many, right? Now, one and the many is what relates being and non-being. This is what relates the oneness of the Tao with the harmony of the myriad creatures of the 10,000 things, right? Depending on which translation you read, right? And of course, going back to the idea of being without name, being unnamed, right? It says not limited to concepts, right? Even the concept of the one, he is neither one nor unity, neither many nor multiplicity. Okay, finally, we call him mind or thought. Okay, so he's defining essence as mind, consciousness, intelligence, but I think consciousness is a better word, right, than mind or thought, because mind or thought are basically just what he really means is consciousness itself.
Yo, I found out what version it is. It's the translation by Gaia Fu Feng and Jane English.
Yeah, I read that one. I read that one live. Yep, definitely.
It's an online version that I must have downloaded. Like I must have pulled the text out of it and just like saved it for later. But that's the one it is.
Yeah, I've read that one hundreds of times. Yeah.
I think it's a pretty good one because it kind of lines up with everything that I've, like all the other translations I've seen. It kind of lines up with them for the most part. What's the best translation you've found, in your opinion?
I mean, I don't really prefer one or the other at this point. I just read 4 that I like. I mean, but yeah, I'll really rely on different ones.
Are
Yeah.
they all like? Why is it so hard to translate it? Is it like, is the original written in like mystery languages or some shit?
Well, it's not really that. It's just that the Chinese that it's written in, you would have to study that Chinese and then try to read it. So it'd be a 2-step process because it's a classical language or whatever, right?
Okay,
So like the language, like people don't really speak it anymore. So you can't just like walk up to a Chinese person and be like, "Hey, translate the Tao for me." That they won't really know what it says, right?
so
Because the words are different.
I went the correct route and went with someone who's actually Chinese instead of like going with like Crowley, who's retarded.
Right. Right. Yeah, we read those ones. Yeah, that's one of my favorite ones, definitely.
But yeah, this is the one that I feel like the most lines up with like the life of Jesus Christ, the character, like the way that he moved it appears that he used, like, I don't want to say used, but like he was one with like whatever the Tao is. You know what I mean?
That was good.
Whatever you want to call it, right? Because it's
Right.
nameless. He was one with
Definitely.
that. You know what I mean? And like I could, like, you got to consider that God. So he was one with God, but it doesn't mean he was God. Okay. All right. This is what he was saying. You know what I mean? Like, this is what he was trying to say, I believe, when he said, I and the Father are one. He was trying to say, like, I am one with the Tao, basically. You know what I mean? Because he had become one with it. Like, he embodied it. He became it. That's what I try to explain to people in the Trinity arguments. You know what I'm saying? When they try to pull that shit out. You feel me?
You're doing such a great job. I'm so proud of you. Wow, they're doing so.
That's one of my main Trinity arguments, bro.
What?
Yeah, I'm trying to find in the Gospels here the nature passages. Right?
Oh yeah, I got some shit that I want to bring out for you, but I'm not gonna bring it out on the live stream. It's just it's some shit that I want to break out just for me and you, bro, to look at. Take a look at it. Gonna have to take a look at it. Maybe if we consider it valid, then maybe we show the public. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
I want to get your opinion on some crazy shit though. Mommy. And it involves all kinds of ancient coins and shit. It's gonna be fun.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
There's some mad fuckery that I may have discovered. Well, I didn't discover it, but I discovered the idea that other people already discovered. But it's not popular. And it's a bugged out idea. Because, all these different civilizations, right? You know how they were fucking constantly editing and redacting history. Like, we know this. So it's really hard to keep, to make heads or tails of shit. But what they couldn't redact was lost money. And so I got into, like, metal detecting and fucking with, like, looking for coins, just fucking around. And I got into this shit on ancient coins. And then I got onto a fucking rabbit hole where they could redact history, right? But they couldn't change the money that was already minted and lost. They would have to find all of it, right? So as it gets found, there's certain people and groups that are buying up this ancient money, and they're not like putting it in museums. It's just disappearing. So people are starting to look into it, and there's some shit going on with ancient money where it reveals parts of the past that they're trying to hide to this very day. Ain't that some shit?
Yeah.
What you got going on?
Oh, we got Hanko Flamio. Blessings.
You got Hanko Flamio, bro?
Yeah, why don't you hop up on the panel, Hank? We're about to get into Bill Joy here. Because I gotta wrap this little subject here up. Because I only got like an hour more. But first, I want to read some of the Gospel of Matthew here. I mean, very interesting passages. I mean, and I think they kind of reflect like a sort of Taoist understanding, in my view, or very, very Taoist in terms of you don't really see a lot of stuff in the Old Testament like this. I mean, it says, "Look at the birds of the air; they neither sow nor reap nor gather into barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not of more value than they are? And which of you, by being anxious, can add a single hour to his span of life? And why are you anxious about clothing? Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They neither toil nor spin." That sounds very much like Lao Tzu. Right? Then he says, "Yet I tell you, even Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. But if God so clothed the grass of the field, which today is alive and tomorrow is thrown into the oven, will he not much more clothe you, O you of little faith?"
And there's that famous line. I mean, that from Darth Vader. I mean, "O ye of little faith, therefore do not be anxious of saying, what shall we eat, or what shall we drink, or what shall we wear? For the Gentiles seek after all these things, and your heavenly Father knows that they need them all. But seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you." Real talk,
What
folks.
version are you reading of the Bible?
That's King James. So
Okay.
it's just it's
Is
just King James.
is it O ye of little faith?
Yeah,
Or-
it says "O you of little faith" in this one.
Okay.
It's Gideon's one. Yeah.
All right. I could have sworn I could have fucking. I'm not saying you did anything wrong here. I'm just saying I could have sworn there was a verse just like that that said, "Are ye of little faith?" I might be confusing it with a different verse though.
Yeah, they might say it again.
And that's from my own knowledge. I'm not trying to correct it. I'm trying to fucking correct my own brain, bro. I'll be losing verses and shit in my brain, bro. It's too much shit there, bro.
Yeah, I feel you.
It's like a
But-
desktop that you can't delete the icons.
Yeah.
This is a fucking mess, bro.
Yeah, you're probably thinking of Matthew 8:26.
Thank you, Hanko Flamio.
Yeah, but let me round this out here. And then let me move on to this Bill Joy thing. It says here, actually, let me see how much more of this there is. Oh yeah, there's not that much more. So let me finish reading this here. Yeah, so it says, okay, so we were at this part right here. It says, "For he is himself mind by essence, holy mind and solely mind. Yet he is entirely above mind and thought too. For every thought expresses a duality, the relationship of the thinker and the object thought of. Neither of these two can return to the complete simplicity in itself. For the thinker has need of the object has need of the thinker." Okay, I think me and Hank and the homie here are pretty much in agreement with that one. I mean,
Yeah. I mean,
Yep.
I'm in agreement with a lot of the shit in the Tao Te Ching based on the Bible. And so that's why I'm confused at this point.
I'm really not confused yet. I read the Bible and I get in disagreements with so-called Christians who don't read the Bible.
I'm just confused as to, did Lao Tzu write the Tao Te Ching and influence Christianity, or did Christianity exist and then Lao Tzu or whoever wrote the Tao Te Ching and said it was predated? I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure Lao Tzu came first.
Do we know that for certain?
No.
Because at the end of the day, even Lao Tzu is just as a mysterious character as Jesus to try to nail down historically. Like, it's almost like he didn't exist. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree.
Try to find history of Lao Tzu. They're just like, yeah, one day a guard in a town told him to write down his knowledge, and he did, and then he fucking disappeared. That's it. That's all you get. You know what I mean?
Well, we had digged up quite a few other historical details, which are kind of poignant, but yeah, it's still pretty interesting. But what's also interesting is the first century text. There's another version of the Tao Te Ching, that was released in the first century. I mean, so there's a lot of things there. I mean, there's two different archival texts that they draw from the translations, so it's pretty interesting.
It's definitely weird. It's a weird one.
But yeah, here he says, well, definitely Seraphim Rose noticed that there's something interesting in the text that's pretty much, in line with the with the Bible, with the Gospels. I mean, so he says, but the primal essence is neither of those who think nor what is thought of, for he is beyond them, unlimited, self-existing, free and simple, standing in need of nothing. To conceive or be conceived is proper to nature of things, secondary to the primal essence, right? Remember, he said that thought is basically the beginning of duality, right? There he says, thus the essence that can be conceived of as essence is not primal essence. The being that can be limited to existence is not primal being. The one that can be limited to the concept of oneness is not primal unity. The mind that can be thought of is not primal mind. The one who is still in some way possesses any thought has not yet left duality and arrived at simplicity. But the one who has completely abandoned it and arrived in some fashion at primal mind through having supremely relinquished the power of thinking. Okay, we'll read more of that tomorrow. Okay, we'll read
It's
both of
called
the translations.
philosophically going full retard.
Yeah, the Tao definitely stretches all those possibilities. It finds true. It looks at paradox, and it squeezes out truth from paradox. I mean,
see,
so it really
with the
finds.
Tao, you go full retard in the most intelligent way.
Exactly. That way you clear your death so you can fill it up again, but hopefully be neater this time.
That's right, Hank. Yeah, let me find some music for you guys, and yeah, we'll be back in like maybe 5 minutes. Get some Bill Joy in here, and then what type of music would you like to listen to, Hank?
Retro game music.
Retro game music, man. I seem to be very low on that.
For a second, I thought he was saying retro gay music.
Nope. I don't even know what that is.
Basically, any retro music is gay.
Inspired. How about Babylon Disco? That's kind of inspired by that shit. I mean, let me just play Babylon Disco, and then we'll be back in 5 minutes or so, however long the Babylon Disco song lasts. I mean, when it starts over, then I'll start reading some Bill Joy here, and then I'll end the show because, I mean, it's already past 2 hours. Blessings, guys.
Hey, yo, thanks for having me. I'll be in the back.
We don't have any borders. We don't have any boundaries. We don't have any flags. We fucking put our fists up in the air and we fucking show the world that we've got the fucking numbers.
All right, folks. That is Mass by Babylon Disco. Blessings. I mean, and yeah,
I liked it. Yes.
I believe that's D Trash Records. Right? Excellent record label for digital hardcore drum and bass style of drum and bass. Started in Germany. Pretty interesting. Hank with the Bluetooth. Yeah, and I got the blue book, the OG book. You know, there's another newer edition of this book that's orange that you could probably get on Amazon. It's called Confronting Technology. Okay, it's an anthology by Scribina, right? So it's excellent read, right? And critical views on technology. I mean, there's almost very little compilations of material dealing with the subject, right? So he's done a very unique service, right? This is usually used for his course material, right?
Yeah, it's it. It's that and the manuals. So
Yeah,
pretty much.
yeah. So we're slowly reading through some of this. I mean, but Bill Joy in Wired magazine. I mean, he wrote this recently. He says, you know, it is most of all power of destructive self-replication in genetics, nanotechnology, and robotics that should give us pause. Okay, so he's talking about relinquishing certain types of technology. He says this after he talks about the concept of global ecophagy, or the idea that self-replicating nanomachines could one day gobble up the ecosystem. Okay, and that is one of the ideas prominent among the developers of such a technology, such as Eric Drexler, right? And he explains this in a book that he wrote, right? I think Engines of Creation. You know,
Yeah, yeah, I agree with them. I mean, have you ever took apart a laptop or a cell phone, and you know how annoying it is to take out the screws in order and put them back in? Well, now you're gonna make stuff even smaller than screws. So
yeah, yeah. The self-replicating aspect is also problematic. He says self-replication is the modus operandi of genetic engineering. Okay, so that's pretty scary, which uses the machinery of cell to replicate its designs. And I actually played a clip of K. Eric Drexler talking to Kurzweil, and he talked about using nano machines to update human biology and so-called things. So you know what I mean? They're not far away, right? From implementing and creating some of those processes, right? They're already creating external neuron processors, right? Where you can extend your brain memory capacity. I mean, so that's going on, right? You could upload your thoughts to a machine. Self-replication is the modus operandi of genetic engineering and uses machinery of the cell to replicate its designs. And the prime danger underlying gray goo in technology. Remember, we talked about gray goo. Remember what I said? Don't search that. And let's be
yes,
very
search for
careful.
nanolate instead. It's the same thing, but it's less gooey.
Yeah, or there's all types of different things. There's Ferrous self-assimilating. There's graphene things. There's other things that they've made. You guys could look it up, even. But yeah, Yeah, so stories of run amok robots like Borg self-replicating or mutating to escape the ethical constraints imposed on them. Okay. By their creators, right? Okay. Now, obviously, it's a simple notion, right, that we've talked about many times on this show that what we create creates, right? But this is actually allowing, your creations to have, one-to-one, capacity to manipulate the environment and human behavior, right? So that is actually going way out. That is your creations creating you, right? Okay, okay, that's in another realm of possibility. I mean, that we're going into. Okay, so
Well, that's not about cloning, really, right? That means that's just cloning.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, well, yeah, we're gonna continue this tomorrow as well, but let's proceed a little bit more. We got a little carried away with discussions. We're very blessed to have guests today. Some very notable guests.
No Jack, Bunny Christ, and me.
Exactly. I mean, some of the more notable guests that we have on this show. Blessings. I mean, but yeah, the heavy hitters today, definitely. But yeah, it says their creators are well established in our science fiction books and movies. Okay. Oh yeah. I mean, it is even possible. Obviously, they got Ultron in the Marvel movie. You got, from the very small examples, you got Edward Scissorhands and Chucky the doll. I mean, sort of a very metaphorical example of that. I mean, you know what I said one day? I said the kid in Chucky and the kid in Toy Story are both named Andy, and they even look exactly the same. Isn't that really freaky and weird? Because both of the movies are obviously about kids talking to their toys, right?
Yeah.
So that's really odd that they chose like a similar character, Andy. I mean, right? This like little white kid with the bowl cut. I mean, it's a very similar character. I mean, it's
And you
very
beat
odd.
MatPat to it, as far as I know.
Yeah. Even the overalls. I think they're both wearing overalls too. So yeah, it's very strange. Concatenation.
Yeah, take that, film theory.
Yeah. I think they had the same guy maybe had two ideas and released them like that. Sort of takes us back to that idea of the Terminator and the Matrix being the same movie. That theory by Sophia Stewart, where she says that actually the character in the first movie went underground and then the machines had already taken over in the second movie, The Matrix, and it's the same character, John Connor, going underground and coming back out through the machine and actually destroying the machine himself. So yeah, that's another fascinating thing. And
So John Connor, Agent Smith, or who was he?
no, he was Mr. Anderson. John Connor is Mr. Anderson would be the theory.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah. So
I want to spoil a very old movie, but it was Smith that did the thing. Mr. Anderson was there though.
right. And that's because that whole thing is kind of based on Gnosticism, right? So I think that Mr. Smith, in that he may represent Ialdabaoth or the child of chaos. You know what I'm saying, right?
Oh,
Right.
that makes sense.
Yeah, so in that way, it's sort of a little bit because he's blind, and because the blind, because Saklas and Samael, one of them is blind and one of them is a fool. I mean, right?
Yes.
So I think he might represent, because if you really pin it to the Gnostic, sort of creation myth, then it makes sense if Smith is out about. But yeah, going into this, some deep level movie crypto Judaism for you guys. For the people that are interested in Illuminati symbolism in movies. I mean,
Don't
definitely.
say Illuminati.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, but they map on the same characters, and it's pretty interesting. They're trying to communicate something, and yeah, more on that in the first episode 1 of The Machine Lies. We have over 1K views, but yeah, I talked about how Chucky the doll is about technology, right, and about magic, and us putting ourselves into inanimate objects, and and how it's going to be put into those things that people find most appealing or most benign, like a children's toy. I mean, so here we see something else. But yeah, he's talking about Stuart Kaufman in Nature, right? Titled Self Replication, Even Peptides Do It. Okay, quote unquote, discusses the discovery that 32 amino acid peptide can auto catalyze its own synthesis, right? This is even discussed in Norbert Weiner's Cybernetics in the introduction, as I pointed out, right? We don't know how widespread this ability is, but Kaufman notes that it may hint a, quote, a route to self-producing molecular systems on a basis far wider than Watson-Crick base pairing, unquote. In truth, we have had in hand for years clear warnings of the dangers inherent in widespread knowledge of GNR technologies. Okay, that's genetics, nanobots, and robotics. For people who are tuning into this for the first time, of the possibility of knowledge alone enabling mass destruction. But these warnings haven't been widely publicized. The public discussions have been clearly inadequate. There is no profit in publicizing the dangers. No shit. Right? Right? Why would the system allow you to critique the system, or allow the critiques of the system to be the primary item? Especially the most radical critiques that are about tech secessionism, right? Those types of critiques will be or the bottom of the pile, right? As a last resort option, right? Okay, when finally, some type of technology is invented and it affects inordinate amounts of people, they'll attempt to regulate it, right? Okay, but we know what the result is, right? Then it'll simply just go underground, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
and pretty much regulation just kind of doesn't work on technology because there's always some nerds in someone's basement or attic that says, oh, I'm smart enough to get around your regulation, and they do because they were.
Yeah.
And usually they really good to stick it to them like before that thing's supposed to come out, or do a 0 day if they so it just kind of doesn't really work that well. If it's like you can regulate like the office people, but the nerds are like cats, so they're too hard to catch and regulate.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, but yeah, I mean, he just points out the obvious. There's no profit in publicizing the dangers. I mean, that's why that's why both of the political parties have more or less the same views. Because they both want to support the system that's in place first and foremost, right? Going past that, they got to find little things to disagree on. And it's a narcissism of small differences. But ultimately, there's not really much that they disagree on. There's certain agreements that are forced by the system itself and how it operates. I mean, that they have to preserve. I mean, everybody complains about it, but in reality, I mean, there's a forced agreement because of certain realities. I mean,
Yeah,
and yeah,
two wings
and
on the same bird, and just because of how they're constructed so similarly, they had the same real view pretty much.
right, and yeah, So he goes on to say the nuclear, biological, chemical. And he says that's the previous age. Obviously you could talk about, the fourth industrial, revolution, right? That there's been different stages of the industrial revolution, right? And they've gone to fruition. And let's say we're now in the information age or the digital age, right? And whatever's coming up next, is essentially what they're terming this idea of the singularity, right? It's either going to be with AI or virtual reality or maybe um, you know some merger between man and technology, as I was talking about in the beginning of this whole scheme, right? But
So
they want a way to advance technology, right? Because they have to, because for lack of a better term of explanation, because I want to let Hank chime in here. The system is interconnected; it's too big to fail. But go ahead, Hank. Blessings.
yeah, so funny thing about singularities is that Zeno's paradox kicks in again. That's a callback from earlier segment. Zeno's paradox kicks in again, and you never actually reach that. So,
Yeah. That's true. That's true. Yeah.
yeah, and because of
Yeah. If
that,
you go
I
down
just
yeah.
because of that, kind of don't care about the digital part. That's natural. I rather go with a metallic age like we have been. So I call this the aluminum age or aluminium age, as Simon Hetrick would say.
Yeah, and what Hank is talking about is absolutely true. That knowledge is this double-edged sword. That you open up this range of possibilities, and all of a sudden you open up a range of mysteries with it. I mean, so it's like, the knowledge just widens what you don't know. So it's a Zeno paradox of getting closer to, you know, infinity, the knowledge, which is infinite, is actually getting further away from it in a sense. I mean, at the same time, yeah, definitely, there's something to that. And yeah, he goes on to say, in sharp contrast to 21st century GNR technologies, oh wait, he said the NBC technologies, or the I think that's nuclear, biological, and I think the C is either chemical or computers. I don't know. But yeah, technologies used in the 20th century, weapons of mass destruction were and are largely military, developed in the government laboratories. In sharp contrast to 21st century, GNR, genetics, nanobots, and robotics. I think this is sort of the fourth industrial revolution, is these technologies, right, which are very feasible and now being proliferated on a wide scale, right? Technologies have clear commercial uses and are being developed almost exclusively by corporate enterprises. In this age of triumphant commercialism, technology, with science as its handmaiden, is delivering a series of almost magical inventions that are most phenomenally lucrative. That are the most phenomenally lucrative ever seen, he says. We are aggressively pursuing the promises of these new technologies within the now unchallenged system of global capitalism and its manifold financial incentives and its competitive measures. So he's linked a key part of accelerationism, that capitalism and technology are caught in a sort of feedback loop, right? And now he goes on to say that this is the first moment in history that our planet, with when any species by its own voluntary actions has become a danger to itself, as well as to vast numbers of others. Now he quotes somebody, right? And I'll tell you the quote is after I'm done reading it, and then we'll end the show. Blessings. We're reading "Why the Future Doesn't Need Us" by Carl Sagan. I mean by Bill Joy. It's a quote by Carl Sagan that I'm reading, right? And it says it might be familiar progression transpiring on many worlds. A planet newly formed placidly revolves around its star. Life slowly forms. A kaleidoscope progression of creatures evolves. Intelligence emerges, which at least up to a point confers enormous survival value. And then technology is invented. It dawns on them that there are such things as laws of nature, that these laws of nature can be revealed by experiment, that the knowledge of these laws can be made both to save and to take lives, both on unprecedented scales. Science, they recognize, grants immense powers in a flash. They create world-altering contrivances. Some planetary civilizations see their way through, place limits on what may and must not be done, safely pass through the time of perils. Others, not so lucky or prudent, perish. This is the explanation of the age-old solution to the Fermi paradox. Why is there no signs of intelligent life anywhere else? Yet there is the ability for the universe to create intelligent life, because obviously evolution, according to biologists, was a random process, right? So it should be able to occur in millions of observable places throughout the solar system. Why hasn't it occurred? Well, one solution to that problem is that technologically advanced civilizations were caught in a bargain between trying to put limits on their control of the technology and simply wiping themselves out by their use of technology. And so almost all of them perished. They were being put through the same test as a human species, right? Anyways, that's all we have today. All right. Do you have anything for them, Hank?
I'll see you tomorrow. At what time we starting tomorrow?
Oh, very early. 8 a.m. 7:30 a.m. to be precise. So 7:30 a.m. we're starting a stream, and we'll be expanding on many of these topics. You know, we'll be going back into Crowley and Seraphin Rose. We'll be going back into, Bill Joy, what I just read. You know, we'll be going back into Jacques Ellul, which we did not do today, right? So excited to get back into Ellul. So yeah, blessings.
So see you in 12 hours.
Exactly. 12 hours, folks. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah. Blessings, Hank. All right. And thank you for joining us here on The Machine Lies, where we talk about the lies of the machine on the machine that lies. And I hope you guys have clarity to see through the lies, my friends. You know, the first step to blinding somebody is getting them to open their eyes. And the first step to seeing beyond the programming is to realize how you've been programmed. Please subscribe to our alternative channel. You know, we may lose this one, right, because of the extremely sensitive material that we cover, right? So we appreciate you guys for joining us. And here's Hanko Flamio's channel. Please subscribe to Hank's channel, right? He's been on many of the discussions here, right, including many of the opening of our streams where we've done presentations together, right? So I greatly appreciate the brother there. So please go and subscribe to him. We'll have many more projects with him in the future. You know, Denise, blessings. Fire stream, yeah, blessings. Thank you so much. Carrying water, yeah, that's the Zen way. Chopping wood, carrying water. Yeah, blessings. Yeah, I appreciate you. Ciao. Yeah, I'm on a 13th hour of a fast here, right? So my, I'm sort of experiencing brain death at the moment. But yeah, I appreciate you guys fully. Okay. And yeah, we'll have some more presentations early in the morning for the people that are able to join. Okay, of course Okay, I don't know if you know how much it means to me that you guys sort of participate here. Even if it's just in the chat, even if it's just watching, and even if it's just coming on the panel and hanging out. Of course, there's no pressure to anyone to participate, but this is a open experience, right? There's no limitations on the amount of subject matter we could cover here. Please send me message if you'd like any special topics, or anything like that. We can get into it. Or if you'd like to present stuff. I mean, as long as it's following the YouTube guidelines or whatever, right? We could probably facilitate, or we could help you turn it into a presentation that does match those guidelines, right? So that, you could do something with it. Blessings, you know what I mean?
All my niggas out there, I'm gonna tell y'all niggas one thing, man. As we move into this motherfucking future, man, shit is gonna get realer. Shit is gonna get realer, man. All my niggas out there, keep your mind on your paper, baby, and watch these motherfucking hoes, cause these hoes is bitches. And niggas is bitches too, and you can't trust them. That's why I ask my niggas, Yo, crossbreed, 2-5, Arab C, my light speed. That's why we all smoke weed. Thug mob be inside of the livest niggas. All the war was designed by the wisest killers. Wrote the thug book, only the truth gets spit. Took my hooks like you wrote that shit. Foul bitch. Tell them niggas how you rock my jewels, rock my clothes. Yo, I aim red dot when I spot my foe. Taught you how to spit, taught you how to breathe on beats. If it wasn't for me, you'd probably be on a pack, niggas coming at you again. Same nigga at your show you got watching your back. We can shoot out on the roof till we fall on the street. Draw heat and clap till our bodies in the floor meet. Eat your food like animal dog. Raw meat, say my name if you want more beef. I don't associate with niggas who switch. Fake thug like Sammy the Bull. Turn snitch, yo, my Glock kick. Ready to spit, foul shit. Putting bullet holes all in your click. Who you with? All my niggas live a thug life. I can't fuck with niggas if they ain't my blood type. If I don't get you with the knife, then a slug might. Before you bring a nigga in, know his blood type. All my niggas live a thug life. I can't fuck with niggas if they ain't my blood type. If I don't get you with the knife, then a slug might. Before you bring a nigga in, know his blood type. What's your blood type? Allahua, Blaze Yah with Naruga. Capital, stay tuned. I'll be back soon. Mahdi 252, Munafikun. When the grass low, all them snakes is show. Like them niggas in your team that's starving to blow. You like the sweet thug on Oz, HBO. Fucking with any click that's ready to blow. Hot night, catch you backstage, stop your show. Tie you up in the back of the row. They know. Tie you up in the back of the row. And you know. Yo, Father Rule, blood in, pot rule. Then I rep set 252. Guard you, time zone, born alone, die alone. Yo, I blaze any nigga with chrome in my zone. Be the blind justice, automatic gat, never trust it. Only revolvers, climax when I bust it. Air like me, one and the same. True hustlers, we understanding the game. 2-5, be my set, so a set you claim. My niggas bleed through similar veins. We like blood type, one and the same. We like blood type, one and the same. All my niggas live a thug life. I can't fuck with niggas if they ain't my blood type. If I don't get you with the knife, then a slug might. Before you bring a nigga in, know his blood type. All my niggas live a thug life. I can't fuck with niggas if they ain't my blood type. If I don't get you with the knife, then a slug might. Before you bring a nigga in, know his blood type. What's your blood type? Yo, air light. That mean true to the game. West Coast thugs, my niggas like one and the same. Just like East Coast, yo, we one and the same. Niggas bleed through similar vein. We like blood type, one and the same. We like blood type, one and the same. Tell them niggas who the father to your style is. Yo, you started off winning the race, but lost mileage. Formulas, crime science. Bow down to something far greater. Mahdi, royally your highness, Queen's finest.
Yeah. Official pistol gang. Vinny Paz, Louis Dogs. O'Drama, Bin Laden. D-Mize. Yo, Premier, what's up, motherfucker? DJ Clips, what up, baby? La Conca, Bill Slain, Danny Boy. Yo, Everlast, what up, cuzzo? Listen. A rebel to yell, take you through the levels of hell. Take your commissary pussy like it's settled in jail. I'm a heavyweight, Vinny, don't need to get on the scale. A man of God, but usually the devil prevail. I don't work, all your motherfuckers work for me. I love death, you motherfuckers get murked for free. I don't follow trends, I just do what work for me. I don't live on earth, the motherfucking earth in me. Louis Dogs don't relate. relate to y'all, cause I'm a godly creature. I chop a motherfucking brick like a karate teacher. I wouldn't call what you doing sick, you just got a fever. I have my mother's heart and I have my father's features. Yeah, you know I got the hammer in the jeans, and more white shit than in the Canada latrine. I go bananas for the cream. I don't have a moral fiber, Vinny, take your nana for her cream, yeah. Yo, D, where you at, baby? You want it all, nigga. Official pistol gang. Official pistol gang, nigga. We mobbing on you motherfuckers. Hottest motherfucking mixtape, hands down. Yo, D, what's up, nigga? Take these motherfuckers to war, cousin, nigga. Yeah. Hey, yo, niggas rapping, but they comical. It's logical, they overrated hands, so I cut them like a dominoes. Box a piece of fucking perpetrating. Hospital with nurses racing, running niggas over in a hearse with Satan. Squash a nigga in his baby chorus. There's no collaboration with commercial rapping if you pay me for it. So fuck the BS, I'm the hardest out. Walking Philly with a Philly selling niggas CDs yelling garbage out. Part of me, that's just my sense of humor. Look, I'm intense, I'm making sense. You niggas senses trying to spread your rumors. Basically, I'm trying to make it happen. Scheming, I can make it rapping. Stay away from niggas who relate to acting. It's not impersonal, I take your money, spend it on your bitch. Call you a bitch and tell you pussy, try to take it from me. It's funny how a motherfucking bitch change when a bitch get changed. It's nothing if she sniff cane and turn crazy. Sell her own soul, her own baby. All over this gravy, it's all over. It's shady how the world turns. And it's all over this money. It's funny, next thing you know, you all over your money with your face out. Brains bleeding, your dame leaving with the next man. Plan A to the plane, scheming on your life savings. Like praying it might save him from his life wasting. All over his wife patience. I don't like hatred, but if you could do it to me, I'ma do it to you. Give a fuck if you beautiful, what your booty can do. Your pussy tight titties, big bitch, what did he do? I got a bundle on your head to kill you and your crew. That's a must, they don't like you, mind you. Bullets fly through your head, they won't find you. Blind you with red beams, bury you cockroaches. Chicks you get it too, so baby do not approach us. I'm a sick being, stick me in a rap cipher. I'm a lighters, hairspray and burn biters. Yo, D, yo, you just caught a body on these motherfuckers, cuzzo. Yo, word to Allah, this the body snatchers. This the return of the body snatchers. Official pistol gang, baby. J-Rock. All my motherfuckers. Yo, just a law, out of space. Reef the lost cause. Birth to jerk. OG filthy rich. We punching motherfuckers in the face for breathing, baby. Body snatching. Catching bodies.
I make your bitch crew shit stools. I put a pistol in your mouth to pull, then I beat you to the pit bulls. Don't even talk about guns. The only 9 you got is a $5 bill and 4 ones. So I don't give a fuck what none of y'all niggas say. Cause anything that can't penetrate ricochets. Rhyming with me on the record, you might as well have died and went to hell instead of heaven. Cause my rhyme weapon is like a medieval torture method. Your 4 limbs tied to 4 horses, all pulling in different directions. In this profession, I get busy without a question. Seeing me is like seeing a vampire's reflection. Faster, slow flows connect like electrodes. I make a set tape decks blow when I'm in wreck mode. Explode, leaving areas abandoned. With more radiation behind and spots UFOs landing.
That all, soldier.
Yes, sir.
Is there anything you need?
No, sir.
Report back to me before the briefing. At ease.
Are you a Navy SEAL?
Yes, sir.
Then say it like you mean it. Tell them who free from the Navy SEAL team is.
Free be the one rockin' shit. Special operatives, specializing in weapon diagnostics. My survival tactics be drastic like Rambo. I'm strangling niggas with my bow and arrow elastic. Whoever said you couldn't be 5 feet and thoroughbred? Never witnessed the cerebral cortex in my head. How many gigabytes does your hard drive hold? Or does your hard drive fold once the signal hits the node? Beyond mission control, the theory behind your thought. Marie Antoinette behead me, I still rock. While you choking, suffocating off your own testosterone. I'm known for breaking levels down through values unknown. A specimen with extraterrestrial estrogen. Kick your intestines in, sell your testicles to Mexicans. I bring the force like a nutcracker. Annihilate rhyme hackers, they be sealed linebacker. The last set of piss remains unclaimed, so if you buck against free, you better tattoo your name on your teeth. I disintegrate those that oppose, incinerate hoes with they assholes in they nose. I suppose you wanna run your mouth like a castanet. I put bitch niggas to rest in the bitch bassinet.
Is that all, soldier?
Yes, sir.
Is there anything you need?
Sir.
Report back to me before the briefing at ease. Are you a patriot?
Sir, yes, sir.
Then say it like you mean it. Tell them who cannabis is from the Navy SEAL team. I'm the meanest motherfucker on this whole Navy SEAL team. And I can kill anything if it bleeds or breathes. Calling all bitch ass niggas and bitch ass bitches. I got a howitzer bigger than any 450s. Rapping is a raw business, but as an individual, I'm as different as anybody's fingerprint is. If foreign is the norm, I'm the antonym. Put me in the same category you would put Marilyn Manson in. Bugging like a satanic evangelist. Jogging butt naked down Sunset Boulevard in Los Angeles. Every MC in your crew would get ruined and wounded. You talk bullshit and be too scared to do shit. I'm the type of nigga that'll prove it, produce shit. Spend so much time in the studio, I had to move in. A soldier who practices West Indian obeah. I could drink the poison from a king cobra. Cause long after y'all are dead and gone, I survived the nuclear holocaust like a roach off the party.
Is that all?
Sir, yes, sir.
Is there anything
Sir,
you need?
no, sir.
Report back to me before the